All right, welcome to this explainer. Today, we are diving straight into AQA Topic 3.2.2, Operational Performance Metrics. If you're looking for peak exam performance, you are absolutely in the right place. You know, operations data isn't just about crunching a bunch of numbers. It is literally the heartbeat of a business. We're going to look at exactly how top organizations measure their efficiency, their quality, and their environmental impact to stay ahead of the game. Let's get to work.
Here is our game plan for today. 1. Quantitative operations data. 2. Service and quality KPIs. 3. Environmental and sustainability metrics. And 4. Strategic evaluation and judgment.
Section 1. Quantitative operations data.
Okay, so operations is all about maximizing output while minimizing costs, right? And you just can't do that without the right data at your fingertips. Let's start with a foundational metric, capacity utilization. Basically, this formula tells a business whether they are stretching their resources way too thin or if they've got incredibly expensive machinery just sitting there collecting dust. It's a percentage metric. Think about it, if a factory can make 100,000 units a month but they're only making 80,000, they are running at 80% capacity utilization. Why does that actually matter? Well, idle machinery still costs money to house and maintain, which directly drives up your unit costs. But on the flip side, running at 100% leaves you absolutely no wiggle room for sudden spikes in demand or, machinery breakdowns. It's like driving your car constantly in the red line. Eventually, something's going to snap. So it's a really delicate balancing act.
Let's put this into practice with a real-world scenario. Take the fast fashion giant, Shein. Suppose they're hunting for a new clothing supplier in 2026 to handle a massive 2.4 million unit order. They're comparing two different factories, Express and Reliant. Let's look at the numbers. Express is currently producing 12 million units out of a maximum possible 15 million. Reliant, on the other hand, handles 36 million out of a possible 50 million. Fun fact here, Shein actually adds thousands of new styles to its site every single day. Because of that insane volume, picking a supplier with the exact right capacity is literally make or break for them.
So, time for our first structured task. This is all about Assessment Objective 2, applying what you know. Your job is to calculate the new projected capacity utilization for Express, assuming they actually win this new 2.4 million unit contract from Shein. Now, normally as output scales up, you'd also want to calculate the percentage change in unit costs, but for now, let's just keep our focus strictly on capacity.
Go ahead and hit pause on the explainer right now to attempt this calculation before we reveal the step-by-step solution. Grab a calculator, grab some paper, and remember to use those extra numbers we just talked about.
All right, welcome back. Let's walk through the solution together. Step 1. We take their current output of 12 million and add that new order of 2.4 million. That gives us a new actual output of 14.4 million units. Step 2. We take that 14.4 million and divide it by their maximum possible output, which was 15 million. That gives us 0.96. Finally, step 3, multiply by 100 to turn it into a percentage, and boom, 96%. Now, notice the methodology here. It is so important to write out your steps, because examiners use what's called the own figure rule. That means even if you mess up a calculation early on, you can still get credit for correctly interpreting your own result later in an essay. Now, looking at that 96%, that shows Express would be running at a highly efficient but honestly pretty risky level. They'd have almost zero spare capacity if anything went wrong.
Section 2. Service and quality KPIs. Moving beyond just how much a business produces, we really need to look at how well they produce it. Quality isn't just about catching mistakes at the very end of the factory line. As Total Quality Management, or TQM, suggests, it's about building an entire culture where every single department treats the next one down the line as a valued internal customer. Our source material actually highlights this exact approach over at Shein. They treat their internal departments just like customers to maintain really strict quality standards. And actually, giving teams that level of ownership can satisfy employee desires for achievement and recognition. Those are massive motivators that boost productivity and, ultimately, bring down those unit costs.
To nail those high marks in Assessment Objective 3, you've got to connect the dots logically, from the factory floor all the way to the financial bottom line. You can't just jump straight from fewer defects to more profit. That's a massive leap. You have to explain the how and the why in between. So, your task here is to build that completely unbroken chain of reasoning.
All right, pause the explainer again to draft your analytical chain. Think step by step. What happens immediately after a defect rate drops? And then, how does that ripple through the rest of the business?
Okay, let's see how your chain looks. This brilliantly illustrates exactly what examiners are hunting for, a complete, unbroken, logical flow showing how improved quality cuts costs and boosts market appeal. We start with lower defect rates. That steps naturally to fewer warehouse quality check rejections, which, based on our data, is a huge step at Shine's massive Guangzhou warehouse. Fewer rejections directly leads to a reduction in reverse logistics and the hefty cost of processing returns. Because those costs have fallen, but prices remain stable, boom, we get an improved operating profit margin. And finally, because customers are consistently receiving flawless products, it leads to enhanced customer satisfaction and a rock-solid long-term brand reputation. That reputation is exactly what justifies premium pricing down the road.
Section 3. Environmental and Sustainability Metrics.
Today, measuring success purely by financial profit, yeah, that just doesn't cut it anymore. The external environment and societal expectations demand way more accountability. Grasping these next definitions is vital because modern businesses absolutely have to balance their economic goals with social and environmental stewardship. First up, carbon footprint. This measures the total greenhouse gases, mainly CO2, produced through manufacturing and transport. Then we have circularity, which is a truly fascinating approach. It focuses on creating a closed-loop system. That means products are designed right from the drawing board to be reused, repaired, or recycled, which drastically minimizes the need for extracting raw materials and creating waste.
Let's look at the data here. This is a powerful contrast. It highlights Shein's stated sustainability targets, attempting to drastically buck the fashion industry's predicted upward emissions trend. Notice the y-axis there. It uses an emissions index. Think of an index number like a starting baseline, usually set at 100. It makes it incredibly easy to spot percentage changes over time, right at a glance. So while the industry index is predicted to shoot up by 45% by 2030, Shein has actually committed to an ad-to-it reduction of 25%. Tracking these specific KPIs is often part of broader ESG, environmental, social, and governance reporting. It's totally critical data for operations managers who are tasked with optimizing efficiency to conserve water, energy, and raw materials.
Section 4. Strategic Evaluation and Judgment.
All right, this is where you earn the absolute highest marks by proving that in business, there's rarely one perfect answer, just a best choice for a specific context. Let's look at Far More Cycles. They're a cooperative, independent bicycle retailer from the AQA fictional data. Their whole mission focuses on community links and specialist expertise, which is how they differentiate themselves from giant national chains. But we're seeing a really worrying trend. Their employee costs, as a percentage of revenue, are creeping up, and their operating profit margins have dropped from 3% down to 2%. If you calculate that trend, going from 3 to 2 is actually a massive 33% relative drop in their margin. They clearly need to improve their operational data, but how they choose to do it matters immensely.
This brings us to Task 3, our final and honestly most complex challenge. You need to weigh the importance of two totally distinct operational metrics in a retail context. For a service sector business like Far More Cycles, should management focus on pushing employee productivity to bring down those unit costs? Or should they prioritize customer service ratings, even if it costs them a bit more time and money?
You know the drill. Pause the explainer here, synthesize the data, and form your own evaluative judgment. And remember, keep the specific context of Far More Cycles in mind. They are an independent, community-focused retailer.
So, what did you decide? While high employee productivity definitely keeps unit costs low, pushing staff too hard in a specialist store like Far More Cycles could easily destroy the high customer service ratings that set them apart from the big national chains in the first place. Think about it. National chains already have massive economies of scale and bulk buying, which lets them slash prices. Far More just cannot easily compete on price alone. Because of that, their customer service ratings, which are driven by genuine honesty and deep expertise, are arguably their single most critical KPI. If they lose that service quality while chasing productivity, they lose their unique competitive edge entirely.
At the end of the day, top-tier assessment objective for evaluation usually boils down to recognizing two words: it depends. As the official AQA marking guidance points out, it depends on the costs of quality relative to the benefits it generates and whether the quality ends up better than competitors. Does an obsessive focus on quality or service actually bring in enough premium revenue to offset the higher costs? And crucially, do your customers actually perceive your quality as better than your rivals? If you can articulate those nuances and weigh the pros and cons within the exact context of the case study, you're displaying exactly the kind of strategic judgment that examiners love to reward.
As you review your notes from today's masterclass, I want to leave you with a thought.
Consider how emerging technologies might fundamentally shift which KPIs actually matter most in the future. With the massive rise of AI running through all business functions, will traditional capacity utilization remain king, or will adaptability, circularity, and sustainability metrics take the crown? Definitely something to think about. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep mastering that data, and I will catch you next time.